It was like, okay, do you have any questions? And I think I asked them something along the lines of what's the culture of the company like, because I saw that
Yeah.
online a lot. There were like three of them, and it's like, all right, yeah, I'll handle this one again, because apparently they got that one in every single interview.
Oh, Aiden, how you been?
I've been doing all right, getting school done, not sleeping too much, the good stuff.
Sounds pretty good. I've been getting work done, sleeping all right, but waking up at 5 a.m. like I was so criticizing before. I'm like, that's crazy. That's so early. But now I have to for work. Work from 6 to 4. So it's not as bad as I thought, but it is bad. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about jobs and where you might find one, how you might acquire it.
Yeah, I thought that this would be an interesting topic because you have a lot of work experience, both just in general and more professionally with your Waterloo Works things.
Woo! Co-op.
And I have much less job experience, though still some. But one thing that I have been doing recently is helping out with the hiring for the Toastmasters clubs that I'm with. And I've actually developed some preferences, just like things that impress me in job interviews.
Oh, okay.
So I think that would be an interesting perspective. I can be like, all right, so if you do this, I'm not impressed. Like it's almost like I'm from the other side now, which is weird.
I know that's good. That's good to hear because I've never been on the other side. So I think I'm pretty good at interviews just because like I think they're kind of fun. Like I don't think they're that complicated, but there are things you definitely need to do, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go over like our different job experiences.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
And you can say your hiring experiences too, because I don't have any.
All right. So I guess what job experience was, what have I done? I did 4 years as an ice hockey referee, just the minor league, and a little bit of competitive.
Yeah, I forgot you did that.
I'm always surprised when I go back and see, oh, that was 4 years. Jeez, I did that a long time. I did 2 summers as a camp counselor at St. Bridget's summer camp, along with some other people in this podcast, I believe.
It's this person in the podcast.
No, if you could, there might be another person. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody's lurking.
Possibly, yeah. There's someone else in the chat. And then I also did 1 year as a baseball umpire for some reason.
What do you mean? Pro baseball.
I was so shit. I had to quit at the end of that season. I was getting to the point where it's like, yeah, it's like I didn't really know the rules particularly well.
Yeah. So people be like, what the hell is that? And you're like, I don't know.
It's like I knew the basics from having played it for like a year, but anything mildly complicated, and I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know about that one, Chief.
I mean, you know more than I do.
Probably.
Never. I think I played softball when I was like 8.
And baseball was actually surprisingly fun to play. It was a good time. I think it was partly that I joined right at the age where you're allowed to start stealing bases, and that was my absolute favorite part of the game.
Oh, yeah? You're seeing how sneaky you can be?
Exactly, yeah. And it's just kind of bolting as fast as you can while the pitcher isn't looking.
That's the only sport I can think of where something like that's allowed. It's like if cross checks were allowed, if like it was actually like in the rule book that the cross check is allowed in hockey as long as the ref doesn't see you or something like that.
I mean, that's not wrong.
But yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent. A baseball umpire for a year.
Yeah. I think that was all my high school working. But then since I've been in university, I did 3 or 4 months at Best Buy, and that's about it.
Okay, so I'll go over mine. Yeah, I don't have any experience hiring people at all, but I do have a decent amount of work experience. So I guess to count like everything, I think I was at the end of grade 8 or beginning of grade 9, I got a job as a dog walker for a man down the street. I did that till the end of high school, till I moved away for uni. Yeah, it would be like $1 or $2 per walk, and I'd do like once or twice a week. And sometimes he would toss a tip in because he just felt like being generous. So that was nice. And I did that till the end of high school. And then in grade 10, I got hired at Food Basics as a cashier. And I did that till I think sometime in grade 12. Yeah, I think think I quit that the summer before university. So I did that for
makes
like
sense.
2.5 years. And then in grade 11, I was a lifeguard. It was kind of, now that I look back on it, like a little illegal, the situation. I think I've talked
Okay.
about this because it was like a 9.5 hour shift with
Yeah.
1.5 hour break that was unpaid. Yeah, and this break you had to spend, because it was a single guard pool, right? Because it was just like a community pool that was outdoors. So yeah, we had to do like all the chlorine chemical work ourselves, like chemical
Okay.
test it and all that. So had like a big hazmat suit thing that I would have to dump pure chlorine into the barrel and stuff. That part's not illegal because we were trained on it. But
Okay.
just the working 9.5 hours for a half-hour unpaid break, and then the break that was exactly in between, you had to spend walking 2 blocks to where the only bathroom was, because there wasn't one at the pool. And you weren't supposed to leave any other time, obviously, I guess, so nobody comes in and like drowns himself. So
Yeah.
during your break, the only time when you could close it out, you would just spend most of it walking 2 blocks, using the washroom, and then coming back.
So you'd like lock up the entire pool when you're on your break?
It was just like a chain link fence and a gate
So like you kicked
with like a
everybody out
padlock.
and then went on your break
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
what? Okay.
So that was difficult every single time. People are like, "Oh, we'll be fine. Like, I'll watch my kid," and I'm like, "I know you definitely will, but I'll still get in trouble." And I found out that the way they did that 9.5 hour with the half-hour break that was unpaid was they just scheduled 2 4.5 hour shifts with a half-hour apart between them, because for 4.5 hours, I believe you don't need a break.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would just be 2 4.5 hour shifts, half an hour apart. But you could only work the 9.5 hours. Like, you would never be called in for just 4.5 hours. It would always be both. Like, you were told they were one shift. And then between grade 11 and 12 was when I was a camp counselor with you at Kent. Yeah. That was fun, actually. I guess I didn't go back because I felt like I was missing out on all the stuff that happened Monday to Friday during the summer back at home. But it was so much fun that honestly, like, I probably just I should have gone back the second year, because like it's only a month too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's Monday to Friday. But it's mostly chilling, or a lot of it is just chilling, as long as you don't have a really terrible cabin of children.
Yeah, probably like one of the 4 weeks sucks, but the rest is super fun.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you have really good kids, then you're just chilling.
Yeah, so that was a good time. And then the summer between grade 12 and first year uni, I worked as a production technician in sort of a factory floor thing for a small company, a small optics company nearby. And I did that as well in between first and second year in the summer. That was a good time. In the summer between first and second year, I accidentally got myself in the eye. That was kind of fun.
What was it that you did?
I was building some appliance, and it had a bunch of cables for cable management. I just zip tied all the cables together to like one of the support parts. And so I was pulling it tight with some pliers so that it would have absolutely no give. And then the end of the zip tie came off, and I got myself in the eye. I don't remember which eye. Yeah, then I scraped my whole eye with the metal part of the pliers and with the end of the zip tie all across the cornea. And that was cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Highlight of, I'm just kidding. That wasn't a highlight. That was a great job as well. But so yeah, I did that, production technician. Then for my first co-op, I worked with the University of Waterloo in one of those programs that like goes around to schools and does like science demonstrations and stuff for the kids. And that was all right. And then in 2019, from September to December, I worked in Gatineau with the Ministry of Environment, which was more related, and which was also nice. And then now I'm working at my third co-op, which is with some quasi-governmental organization where I just bike around to like control mosquitoes basically all around Ottawa. I even go out to like Stittsville or Manotick and stuff, Carp even, which is like not Ottawa. And so that's where I'm at now.
That is very many jobs. Yeah, lots of experience.
But yeah, so now let's go over, I guess, like the main points to get a job.
Is there anything you wanted to say about how to pick or apply for jobs?
With Waterloo Works, the way it works
Nice.
is you just have a list of like thousands of jobs that are available for the next upcoming co-op term. And you can just apply a ton of filters like location, who the employer is, what city it's in. You can filter by program, but most of the jobs, because they want to get the maximum exposure possible, just list every single program as applicable, which is a little annoying because I'm pretty sure environmental science is not applicable to like work as a coder for BlackBerry. So you just upload however many resumes and cover letters you want up onto Waterloo Works. Usually I do just one resume because I'm like, all the jobs I'm going to apply to are going to be similar enough. And then for cover letter, I think I have about 12 paragraphs of like different experience points I want to emphasize. And I pick 2 or 3 and just copy paste them and then just write the intro, the company name and the intro and conclusion and stuff. I'm usually relatively picky with the jobs because there's a ton. There's like so many, and a ton of them are like, I know that I won't enjoy. So I only shortlist, and you shortlist is just like you usually look through all the jobs and shortlist ones you're interested in, and then you can go through your shortlist and apply. Yeah, I only apply to jobs that I'm like, I know I would be all right. Like I wouldn't have a terrible time doing. Because a lot of people, I guess, who have like less work experience will just apply to like, in your first term, everyone applies to a lot, but after that, some people still apply to like 30 or 40 every term, just because they're like, I just want to get hired. But I would rather enjoy the 4 months at least a little. So I just pick maybe, I think I applied to like 15 for this co-op term, and then just like upload the cover letter if it's needed, and then the resume for each one and apply. So I just, something that I know will be at least a little applicable to what my end goal job is. Like that, basically the job I was thinking of, or the sort of jobs that I was thinking of when I chose my degree, and that I think I'll have at least. Actually, no, I apply even if I don't seem to have a reasonable chance of getting it, because I'm like, it takes 5 minutes on this software, so may as well. Maybe nobody else applied.
Yeah, no, if it takes that little, that's a good idea.
Yeah, max like half an hour per job.
I don't know. I find it often takes me a little bit longer, but I might just be more picky with like customizing the resume or like cover a little bit more.
You don't have this software, which makes it so easy. It's just like, so through all these jobs, like, okay, these are too broad. Filter, I want one in Ottawa. So you put Ottawa, and then you also put I put like field because I wanted like field work. And then I just saw a bunch. I'm like, okay, interested in that one, so I shortlist them. And then I just upload my resume. And then a lot of them don't require cover letters. So I'll just be like, apply resume, boom, apply resume, boom, apply resume, boom.
Oh, man, that sounds chill. That sounds good, yeah.
You can, if you set aside time, you can apply to a lot. But yeah, how would you say you're picky?
It's partly that I'm selective in like the stuff that I want to do. Kind of like what you said, I want to like just pick the ones that I want to do, which I think is partly just optimist in me. It's like, yeah, I can get this one.
Not applying to a job because like you want it, but you think you won't get it is a mistake I hear people making a lot. They're like, oh, this job sounds sick, but like, I don't think I have enough experience and stuff. And that makes no sense to me in my head. Unless it takes like freaking 12 hours to apply, which it never does. It's always like maybe a couple hours, like max. I think like always apply, because worst case scenario, you don't get it. Best case scenario, you get this really awesome job. Don't only apply to jobs that it seems slightly unlikely you'll get. Like apply to some obviously that you enjoy, but seem that you're like pretty confident you'll get, just so you have some to fall back on.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Just apply to a wide range or a good number of them. So like probability states, you'll probably get something.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you have a terrible resume.
Yeah, actually, let's get into resumes. Why not? That sounds like a good transition.
Okay.
You just have like the one resume basically that you use?
Pretty much. Yeah. Let's say like half my jobs are like outdoor field work. The other half are like some sort of like indoor, more working with data or something like that. I guess I would have two in that situation. I'd have one that's more like data manipulation focused, being able to use a computer focused, and another one that's like I would boost CPR and well, now this one's pretty good because I'm working outdoors all day, so I would put like this one at the top and stuff. So I might have two if there's like two very different brands of job, but yeah, for the most part, at the beginning of each hiring cycle, I just update my resume for the one I just completed, and then pretty much good to go.
The way that I do it is that I have one master resume that has
Mm-hmm.
just all of the experiences, and each of them has that star method of explaining what you did, which is
Probably like 3 pages long or something.
at least, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's full of
Yeah.
lots of stuff. And then whenever I apply to a job, I just go through it and whittle it down to the top 3 experiences usually. And
Yeah.
then that's the resume. And then everything else is more or less the same: education, skills, all that stuff.
Sorry, what were we talking about? The star method?
That is how, or it's a good way to explain to employers what you did at your job. It's, I think, situation. So briefly describe just like, I don't know, the company, your role, what you were doing. I'm not remembering the T right now. A is for action, I think, what you actually did, you personally, what actions that you took. And then R is for results, preferably like with data, like numbers or whatnot. What did you accomplish? What did you do for the company?
That seems pretty good. And yeah, your strategy is definitely more applicable to if you're just trying to get a job. It's not for like a specific co-op or through school or anything. You're just trying to get a job. That was definitely more applicable because then you typically wouldn't be applying to like 20 jobs in a week. I mean, you might be. You'd always need a cover letter pretty much, so it would take more time, and the jobs wouldn't be as like. I mean, they might be as similar to each other, but that one just seems like if you're going definitely for quality over quantity, that's the way to go.
Okay, the T is the task, so your responsibility. So yeah, the way I usually do it is just 3 bullet points for every experience. 1, describe what the hell was going on. 2, what did you specifically do? And then 3, what was the result? What did you accomplish? But yeah, the resume actually doesn't take that long to format because it's all there. It's mostly just like selecting and cutting shit out.
Yeah, that's like with my cover letter. I have
Yeah.
like a 12 paragraph one, but I just copy and paste like 3 onto a new page, and then have one for the specific job that I'm going to apply to.
Yeah, I should make a master cover letter. I haven't had to submit many cover letters in the past, but that would be good.
Because then you just need to write a short intro and a conclusion,
Yeah.
and then yeah, just put 2 or 3 paragraphs in the middle that are relating to your intro, and boom.
Yeah. I normally just copy an old one and then just edit that, but it would be good to have an actual master copy to fill in.
Yeah, it's pretty quick actually. Sometimes if a job is similar enough to one I've applied to before, I have them all saved on my computer. I just look through and find an old one and just change the company, and I'm like, there we go.
As long as it's similar enough, yeah, that's fine. That works.
I feel like these aren't the main things you should do if you like don't have much job experience and you're trying to apply. You should probably put a bit more effort in than that. If you don't have like 20 cover letters just chilling on your computer.
It takes a while to get to this point. You have to like put in the work to like craft it, to write it up, and to like slowly build up the experience. Obviously, if you don't have experiences, a lot of the things in my experience list are things like school projects. I usually cut a lot of that out now since I've got a little bit more work experience, but you can basically turn anything into an experience. Projects at your high school or uni, clubs that you've run or been a part of, anything mildly leadershipy, perfect.
Like for this job that I have now, where I'm going around treating mosquitoes, I talked about this one bio class I took where we throw on hip waders and go in a pond and take out these traps for like trapping insects and black bacteria and like small organisms and stuff, and then like analyze them. And I'm like, hey, that's pretty similar outdoors. I won't like make a complete fool of myself.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not allergic to outside.
So anything that can be kind of related or show just general transferable skills.
Yeah,
Is there something that like shows you can communicate?
definitely doesn't just have to be jobs, like you said. It's like courses in uni, maybe in high school too. If it's like an entry level job, like it,
If you've just come out of high school and that's all you've got, then
yeah, it's all
yeah, that's
and it's all you
perfect.
got. There
Yeah.
you go. You got to make do with what you have. But yeah, like projects, courses. If you've done like volunteer work, I don't know. If you're looking to get a landscape job and you helped build your grandparents' deck, there you go.
How old of an experience would you still keep on a resume? Like, is there at what point does it
um,
expire? Do you think?
I would say, let me see. Actually, I don't think I particularly cared about the actual date.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Here's my most recent resume. I think I just cared about if it was like relevant at all to the job. Like I took off like anything to do with high school.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. That was one of the things that I heard when I took one of those job readiness courses at the university. It's one of the first things you want to do when you get to university is get all the high school shit off of your resume and replace it with university stuff.
Yeah, just because I'm like, I don't want to seem like I've done nothing since I graduated high school. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see. So I have my government job in September, my co-op job before that, and my two jobs directly before that, I guess, or I guess lifeguard and production technician. And lifeguard I only put because I was applying to this job, which is outdoors. So it showed that I can handle chemicals, which I have to do now, and I have CPR and can be outside all day, which I have to do now. Not CPR necessarily, but be outside all day and not
Yeah.
die. So
How long is your resume? Do you go for 1 or 2 pages?
for this, I go for two,
Okay.
or I guess that would be one double-sided if I had a physical copy. Just because I think they specified somewhere in Waterloo work that was all right.
Okay.
So I figure if it's all right, I may as well put as much as I can.
Yeah, it seems like it's a matter of opinion from what I've heard. 1 or 2 pages. Like some HR managers will like 2, some will like 1.
Like, don't put any, like, be to the point, whichever one you have.
Yeah.
If you have enough to easily fill out to, then sure. But if, like, definitely don't stretch it to 2 if you just barely have enough for 2.
No. Yeah.
Like, if it's like it goes like an eighth onto the second page, then just, like, take away words or make the font smaller or something. Probably not make the font smaller, but, like, shorten it down to just fit onto the one page.
Yeah, I always keep it at 1 page, but I always find that I usually have about 3 things that are relevant or I think are like really good. So it just works for 1 page. One of the things I have been thinking lately, since I've been hiring people, is that resumes are hella boring. And is there a way to write it so that it's more interesting?
Yeah, I've always thought that. I'm like, even just making one, I'm like, oh, making this is actually the worst task ever. I don't know why, but I hate making resumes so much.
Oh, I 100% agree, but I didn't know it was as boring as it really was since it was like my life. It's like, this is painful to make, but you know, there's some good stuff in here, but
yeah, I was just looking at the meme is like terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my friends, or I guess my older roommate, shout out. He was, or I guess he still is, in like he's big into like web design and like visual design and stuff. So he was always big on like format it so that like even if you aren't reading it, it just visually looks appealing. You want to read it a bit instead of it just looking like plain words up and down the page. It's like, oh, I guess I better read this. You know, like format it, break it up, so it's not just like a slog to get through.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah. I need to put some more care into my resumes. I heard recently a lot of people use Canva, which would probably be good to try. The way I've heard it described is graphic design for people who have no idea how to use Photoshop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And apparently there's a lot of like resume templates on there that would probably be a lot better than the Google Docs template I usually use.
Oh, okay. I think I usually just use like Word.
Yeah, just one of the templates on it, or?
Yeah, I just use a Word template. So honestly, that would probably be better. Put a picture of me like doing like some finger guns, like in the back, just as the background of the picture. That'd be cool.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
just or just like slip in a photo, that photo, just like with my resume, and just like this guy.
Just put it right in the background, real subtle, like 1% opacity.
Yeah. What's up with this paper? It's only when you like look at it down like from the bottom or something that you can actually see that it's just like me.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like a good idea.
That might not be a terrible strategy. They would definitely remember you.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't the statistic that HR managers spend about 8 seconds or so looking at a resume before moving on? So anything that can catch someone's attention.
Somebody in the audience, please try it out, and then let us know how it goes. How many job offers you got from that, and it'll be very educational for us all. Maybe that's the new way forward.
I feel like that might work. That might work depending on the field.
Hide an image in your resume.
But yeah, I don't know how to make that better exactly, because a lot of the words on the resume are just so cut down to the bare minimum. Like somehow add some personality or flair to it a little bit without just adding fluff.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Make everything neon green.
That would be interesting. One last thing on the resumes that you should be doing is, of course, checking for all the keywords in the job listing and throwing them in as much as you can.
Like, oh yeah, definitely. For most jobs, yeah, you want to look like, okay, they mentioned, like, make sure you've read the full job offer, like, and that you show that you've read it.
Yeah, exactly. And then just find like the exact things that they're looking for and just pick out the keywords, put them in your resume so that you can get past all of the computer filters that are just searching for that.
Yeah. I especially use that for cover letters.
Okay.
Just like, I just, read through the whole thing. And then I just make notes of like the things that they're specifically like, oh, you need CPR for this. Then that'll be like the first thing on my cover letter. Be like, I have CPR. And so like you need to work in a team environment. And I'll be like, I have experience in a team environment. And then the paragraphs will be like explaining those experiences. But yeah, you definitely want to look like you do actually want to read the whole listing. You want to both look like it and actually do it. But so now that's the cover letter and resume. What about actual interviews now? Let's say you've gotten selected for an interview. You have a good enough cover letter and resume. What then?
Well, then you go to the interview. I guess the biggest overview thing.
Go to the interview, yes.
That's a pro tip. I actually attend the interview.
Yes.
I think the biggest or the easiest thing that you can do to make a good impression is just to have good energy and be excited.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's so huge.
Even if this is your backup job, still act like this is the culmination of all your experience. So you're like, yes, this is the place where I want to be. Like,
yeah, exactly.
This is the sickest work ever.
Yeah, I find that you can really tell, or that it seems like there's a big difference between candidates who are excited and who are there, like they're talking about the jobs and getting into like the details of what you'd be doing and asking questions. Actually, one of the best things that I've found that really impresses me as a hiring person is if they come up with good ideas that I haven't thought of. It's like,
okay.
you have good ideas. Come here, bring us your ideas. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically like here's a little taste of what I can give you.
Exactly. That's just fantastic.
Making yourself useful before you even have the job.
Yeah, exactly. That is absolutely perfect.
I've never thought of that. That's quite good.
Neither had I, but like it just stood out immediately while I was hiring people. It's like, yes, you have ideas. We want you.
I mean, this might be obvious for some people, but yeah, being low energy, unenthusiastic is like kind of the absolute worst thing to do.
Yeah, it just really brings down the energy of the interview, and it's like, do you really want that on the job or in the marketplace?
Yeah, it's like, do you actually want this job, or like, are you just showing up like because your parents made you or something?
Yeah, and in a similar tangent, I know this feels cliche to say, but when you're talking about your experiences, don't just complain and blame people for if things went poorly.
Yeah, that should go without saying, but clearly you had some people do that.
Yeah, so like, don't do that. It's just not very impressive. Like it's absolutely perfectly fine and encourage to talk about when things have gone poorly at other experiences, like you'll actually be directly asked that most of the time, like tell us about a time when you like failed.
I've definitely been asked that.
Yeah.
Like when you made a mistake at your job or something, or like I think one person asked like what was an example of a serious mistake you made and how did you deal with it, something like that.
Yeah, but some people will apparently just try and get rid of any blame that could possibly be associated with them. They'll be like, okay, so this went wrong and it was because of the people I was working with. They did poorly, and otherwise we would have been great.
Yeah.
It's like,
the way I'm avoiding this error happening again is by working with people who aren't idiots. Well, can't assure that.
yeah, exactly. It seems very negative and very complainy, and like you don't take responsibility for things.
Like basically the point of the interview is to be like, for the interviewer to be like, I want to work with you. Like you seem like someone nice to work with. And if you're a very blamey person, that's not something people typically want to be around. They're like, I want to work with somebody who'll blame everybody else. That seems sick.
Yeah, but if you can say, okay, I messed up here, or we as a team messed up here, and here's what I did to try and fix it, that's the exact opposite, because you're someone who will take bad situations and actually try and actively improve them. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I get the thinking for like blaming other people, because it's like, oh, if they think I make mistakes, they won't hire you.
Yeah.
But like, nobody's perfect, and it's just the main thing of the job interview. Like they've seen your resume, but they just like, how will you be to work with every single day and be around day in and day out? Like, will that be a pleasant experience, or will it be like you'll really get at each other? Because they've probably already read your resume. So you definitely want to remind them and like bring up anything that's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But you just the one of the main things is just like try to get familiar and be like, yes, you want to be around me all day, every day.
Yeah, I think that's when like the two key aspects. It's, are you going to be good to work with, and are you going to be competent and very good at the job?
Yeah.
You want to show both of those things.
Not just like, I've never made a mistake ever. I'm a human computer.
Yeah, that's not good.
In my PD course I'm taking right now, at Waterloo.
It's personal development, right?
Professional development.
Professional development. There you go.
Our persons don't need to develop, but
that's what you listen to this podcast for. You don't need a course at Waterloo.
This is personal development number 100 right here. But yeah, I'm taking intercultural relations right now for my professional development course. And at Waterloo, you have to take a different PD course online during every co-op.
Yeah.
Which is kind of whack, but whatever. This one's kind of fun.
Yeah.
PD8. And this past week we had an assignment about specifically how employment success can differ between people from other cultures, and like how there's different expectations in the hiring process and in like the professional environment in different cultures. An interesting one they brought up was specifically in Canada, people who come from cultures where modesty is very heavily valued tend to have less success in job interviews than people who come from cultures where that's not like a hardcore value, because it'll be like, oh, I see here that you, I don't know, developed this coding algorithm. How'd you do that? And it's like, oh, well, really, my partner did all of it. And you sort of like undersell yourself. So that was pretty interesting to discuss how different cultures have like different practices. Another one is perceived difference like in status. Okay. Like in some places, like you call your employer by the first, or your manager by the first name all the time. Yeah. Like here I would say it's definitely more relaxed.
Yeah.
It would be pretty weird to call like people you work with by Mr. whoever or Mrs.
that
whoever,
would be
or
odd.
Dr. whoever. Yeah.
Even people like a couple levels above you.
Yeah, well, like when I worked for that technician, like as a production technician, that was a pretty small company, so there was just one building. Sometimes on occasion, the actual CEO, founder of the company, would just come back into the production floor and just like be doing whatever, and we'd call him by his first name.
Yeah.
But in a bunch of other countries, you would definitely be like way more polite. Like always say like, yes sir, ma'am, no sir, ma'am.
How would that impact? Is it just people would think you're kind of weird or brown nosing or something?
They might, maybe, or if like, for instance, we were trying to get jobs in countries where that was valued more, then we could be seen as like kind of rude.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because I don't think I've ever, I think I've very rarely called anybody sir or ma'am.
I mean, like professors or teachers, yes.
Yeah, I just call them professor, whoever usually. Or like teachers in high school, I would just call Mr. Mrs.
Actually, now that I'm in college as opposed to university, I just use first names usually.
That's nice. A lot of professors at Waterloo, not a
Mhm.
lot. Some of them say like, oh, you can call me like Joe or whatever. But I feel like it's only one or two professors that I actually call by the first name because they're just so casual and chill that it would be weird not to. But a lot of
Yeah.
them, it'd be pretty weird to just raise a question and be like, "Hey, Joe, like what's going on with this?" you know, and like
Yeah.
in some props it would feel weird.
Yeah, no, definitely.
The point is a lot of this interview stuff, depending on where you're listening from, might be different. You might be expected to like, be more humble or and like share the credit, or if you're in a place more like here, I guess you don't want to be like, oh, I did everything, like nobody did anything else. But you definitely don't want to be like you don't want to sell yourself short. You want to be like, yeah, it was definitely difficult. It took a lot of effort, but I was glad I did this.
Yeah, you really don't want to oversell too, because
Mm-hmm.
I ran into some of that as well. Like people just really overselling their shit. It's like this was the absolute best. Look, this was like the first time anything like this has happened, and we increased like marketing by X amount, and it was outstanding. My boss was like amazed. He told me, "It's like this is great work."
Nobel committees ringing.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, "Can you chill?" Like it's great to have good experiences, but it's always moderately unhelpful when you say don't be too little or don't go too much. You need to be somewhere in the middle, some like middle ground.
Find the Goldilocks zone of wherever you live.
It also depends on the company, right? Because there's the culture of your country, but then there's also the culture of the company itself.
That's true.
The amount of professionalism, actually, that professionalism probably would vary by company, but also the things they expect or how you're expected to work, all that stuff.
Like what I imagine for like, I don't know, a Google interview. You just like take your shoes and socks off and sit on a beanbag and drop acid with the interviewer. Like that's what I imagine, something like that.
Yeah,
But
probably.
yeah. But then for other stuff, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess definitely the only ways to really know where the Goldilocks zone is
Mhm.
are to sort of do your research on both the company and just like job interviews in general, and just do a lot of job interviews. Like
That's
it's kind
true.
of just experience.
Yeah.
Because I think you will, no matter what, be nervous for your first job interview.
Yeah.
Like, and even a lot of people get nervous even after. Like,
Oh,
I find
definitely.
them. I'm more excited than nervous just because I enjoy them.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely a lot of people get nervous, especially if it's like one of those jobs that they weren't even expecting to get an interview for. They're like, oh, I better do well.
I guess one other thing that always really helps is just being referred to the company, especially by someone who works there.
Oh, having good references.
Having good references or having like the interviewer, they were told beforehand about you by someone else that works there, or like your resume was forwarded to them by someone that they know. So they're like, oh,
Hmm.
I like this guy and they seem to like you. So
Okay,
therefore, you're going to stand out in
yeah,
my mind.
that's good, but might be difficult
Yeah.
if you're anything but I guess high level, like fully, like you finished school and
Well, not
you've been working for a little bit.
necessarily. I don't know. I've never done it, but every time I go to these career things, they're always like, it's always about the networking. You got to be
Oh,
taking people out to coffee, reaching out on the LinkedIn's and all that.
yeah.
And it's like,
Oh, that's
if you reach out to like 100 different people on LinkedIn to talk about stuff, that might lead to like, I don't know, one interview or something like that.
yeah.
But
Networking, just basically socializing purely for professional purposes, just
yeah,
seems very irksome to me.
it's also weird as a student too, because normally networking, it's all about, you can meet people and you can both help each other out at some point with your
Yeah.
businesses or your positions. But as a student, you have very little to offer.
Yeah, you're literally pretty much like just being a worker.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You can be a good worker, but it's pretty limited bargaining.
You wouldn't be that high up. I mean, maybe, but probably not.
Yeah, that just seems like it would not come naturally to me. Socializing, but with some kind of like ulterior motive, like not just to have a good time, but to like make them remember you for.
I think the best way to go about it is to just try and learn about people and what they're doing, and just trying to figure out like, oh, what are you doing? What do you like? What do you dislike? Just to genuinely be curious about them, because people enjoy that. But
yeah, I mean, that would be like just actually socializing and like, you know, like hanging out with someone. That's
yeah,
cool. That's fun.
but it's like specifically people who might be in the industry that you're thinking about or all that.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of the reason why I like job interviews, because it is just like go chat with this person for like half an hour, or however long, and just like try to get them to remember you and think positively.
Yeah,
so it's sort of like a fun challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
It's almost a little theatery, but you shouldn't really be acting. You should be mostly yourself, but just a more like enthusiastic professional version of yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just you, but enthusiastic and professional, like you said. Just be excited about the company or the project or the position.
Even if you're not.
I mean, you can always talk about concerns you have or things like that, because jobs can change, right?
One piece of advice I was given was always have at least like one or two questions.
Yes.
Or try to think of one or two throughout the interview, because then if they're like, you want to again just like make them remember you, like just have more talking points and stuff, and show that you're like actually paying attention. It's pretty awkward if it's like, so do you have any like additional questions, things you're wondering about? And you're like, nope. And they're like, okay, well, see you later.
Yeah, no, the questions are important. Also, if you can, trying to think of different questions, because one thing that I found one time, I did an interview for an aerospace company, and they'd been doing interviews all day, right? And I come in and go through the interview, and it's going like decently well. I didn't think I was going to get the job anyways, because I failed their little like test of like basic engineering math, which was a little bit embarrassing. But at the end, it was like, okay, do you have any questions? And I think I asked them something along the lines of what's the culture of the company like, because I saw that online a lot. And they're like, okay, there were like three of them. And it's like, all right, yeah, I'll handle this one again. Because apparently they got that one in every single interview.
That's not what you want to hear.
Nope.
Like, oh, this one again? Yeah.
They'd gotten it down to a routine. There was like one of the ones who that guy would always handle that one, because he just got the pitch down or whatever.
One thing is, I guess you want to be as unique and like show them stuff they haven't seen, or at least haven't seen in that interview before.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what sets you apart from all these other people? Why should they hire you instead of all the other like 100 people that they interviewed or whatever?
I think one of the best ones is, as much as you can, like technical questions about the project or the position or about the company in general. Things that show you've done research and you're able to ask good questions.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. I would always like the day before an interview go through the company's website or like the organizational website and like sort of deep dive it to see if I could find like obviously relevant questions, but stuff that I was pretty confident they hadn't been asked, or at least hadn't been asked very regularly, to show that I was like actually into this.
That is good.
Not just showing up because it's one of my 20 interviews that I'm doing, showing up because I like actually want to work there.
Yeah, no, that's always good.
So if you follow all of our advice, you'll definitely, for sure, guaranteed 100% get a job. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
If you don't, then just just send us an email and we'll talk to the company and we'll get you that job. Don't worry.
Yeah, specifically send Evan an email and he'll hook you up.
Specifically me, yes. Yeah. With the email account that you don't know. You can find it, don't worry. You can find it.
Yeah.
Everyone listening. I didn't think I had this much to say until we started talking, and I'm like, oh yeah. This is important and this is important. So that's been the podcast for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. Send us emails if you don't get jobs, even though you followed all the advice. Definitely do it.
I just I just realized that we're making. Oh, this is actually probably perfect timing. We're making a video about getting a job in the middle of the largest spike of unemployment since the Great Depression. This is perfect timing.
Perfect. Perfect.
I hope it's
Oh,
not just insensitive and it's actually helpful, but we'll see.
yeah. No, I mean, these are real tips, so these
Yeah.
should actually help.
Yeah.
If you really need a job, then sorry for that joke. Just focus on the basics, the good, relevant, no filler, but related resume and cover letter.
Yeah.
Be friendly, polite, laid back, but enthusiastic. Or I guess like you don't want to be like tense in the interview. You want to be
Yeah.
like relaxed, but enthusiastic about the job and excited. Oh, and try to set yourself apart. I guess try to be a bit different, not in a weird way. Just like show them that you're not there are some stuff that set you apart. And don't be afraid to apply to stuff, even if you might not get it, because worst case scenario, you don't get it. Whatever.
I guess one last point would be that generally, if you're not doing Waterloo Works, looking for work, as from what I've heard, is a full-time job. So it takes a lot of work, but you can do it.
Yeah,
You can get there.
you can. Good luck, everyone, getting jobs out there.
Happy hunting.
And yeah, see you next week. I mean, no, you'll hear us next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.